Welcome back to another episode of the Harlequins podcast. 2 words and 4 quarters. My name's Michael, and it feels like a while, but I'm sat here again with my cousin Will. How's your week, mate?
It has been a while, hasn't it? It's nice to have a week off, actually, albeit it would have been nice to progress in Europe. But no, it's been good. I've actually had a really busy week. So getting through to the weekend, first weekend after lockdown was a little bit loose, but we like that. How have you been?
Mate, it's been a weird one also. I've just had 3 weeks off for Easter from school, and the first sort of week or so I was a bit like, I'm not really doing anything. I'd probably quite happy to go back to work, keep me busy, keeping me immune a bit. And then obviously this week things started opening up, and I'm thinking, oh my god, I don't want to go back to work on Monday. This is brilliant.
And the weather turned as well.
And the weather
getting a bit of sunshine. Yeah.
Pubs open. Spent a bit of time in the pubs this week, which has been absolutely lovely.
I've been getting WhatsApps off you every single day with a different thing on each photo.
Yeah, guilty as Charles. Yeah, no, it should be nice. Literally, it's quite dangerous as well because we've got literally, I can't even articulate to you how close it is. It's 10 yards from my front door is a pub, and it's like a real old school boozers pub.
Which one's that?
It's called the Mason's Arms in Teddington. It's like a proper old school boozers pub, no booking systems, nothing. Just rock up, sit in the garden, get a table. It's class.
I actually think they're pretty good at the minute because it seems you need to book to get in everywhere. But actually, when you just walk through the high street, you do come across a few where it's just walk-ins only.
Yeah.
And they're the best ones to get into. I find them easier to get into. So
yeah, I mean, on Monday night, I got a message from one of my mates from school. It was like, oh, mate, we need a spare for our five-a-side team in Clapham. And I was like, I've never played five-a-side football in my life. I'm not much of a footballer. I don't know, mate. I might have been busy. And he's like, oh, mate, well, the boy that dropped out, we've got a booking in the pub afterwards. I was like, sign me up, I'll be there.
That's the trade-off.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I'm in. Sat on the bench a little bit, came on, did a job, and popped into the pub afterwards.
Nice.
So, yeah. Superb.
I actually saw a few of the Quins lads indulging in Carver during the week as well, which must be like the professional rugby player equivalent of a midweek booze. I'm pretty sure they're at Tex's house, but Carver's like this Pacific Island socializing activity. It's a drink. It's like a plant-based drink. And they do it at like ceremonies. It's supposed to relax you, but actually the few times I did it in the village that I stayed in, it turns into a little bit of a party. So it's like in Fiji where I went, it was like the Fijian equivalent of like a social night. So seeing Tex get the Quins lads around for a Carver night, it was good to see.
Yeah. We'll give the big Tex a shout out. Tex, if you're listening, we'll pop around for a Carver night and get some Suva baby stash on. That'd be class as well.
Suva baby, yeah. No, it's like this big bowl. It's like this browny, watery liquid, and like you scoop out of the bowl with like a smaller bowl, or what we did. Actually, we had to make our own. So we got given coconuts. We were there to teach basic English and maths, etc., and sport. But actually, we got taught loads as well. They taught us how to make these bowls out of coconuts, and we had to sort of dig them out and sort of shave them down, like sand them down. That was our cup to drink out of, effectively. Yeah. So like you're scooping out of this big bowl of liquid with like this little half shell coconut, and you're drinking out of it, and everyone, like, you do these claps in between as you pass it around. Yeah, it's good fun. So, I reckon maybe that's a Quins tradition now. I'd love that.
Yeah, maybe we can introduce some Carver into the south stand at the Stoop, at half time. if we're having a real tough game, everyone just relax and do some Carver for 10 minutes.
Yeah, well, I actually went with my mate, and when we got back, we just kept that tradition going. So every like pre-drinks we did, we just like plant this huge, it was like a fishbowl in the middle of the table. So obviously it wasn't Carver, but we used to carry on the tradition and just do like the claps and drinking out your little coconut and just getting absolutely leathered.
Oh, superb. Oh, I love that kind of stuff. I bet a lot of them do that as well. The Fijian lads will have that sort of, pre-game ritual, and I'm sure before a night before a game, something text will be there doing his Carver, and I'd love to see that. That'd be class.
Yeah, it's good. It's good social culture.
We had a little bit of news this week. We'll touch on Joe Gray re-signing. I know we also spoke about this midweek, and I think you actually make a really good point that we spoke about. I think Joe Gray re-signing isn't the biggest news. It's then, right, okay, we know Joe's signing. We know that Scott Baldwin's leaving. Question marks over whether Elia's staying or going. Not really sure. I think it now sort of confirms that we're going to get a hooker in. Joe's going to be, the sort of the backup, I suppose you'd call him, even though he's been a legend of the club. I don't think that's too far of a stretch to say. He's won the Premiership, 11 seasons of the club, hundreds of appearances, whatever it is. But we are hopefully, now that Scott's going to go, we know that we're going to get in a big name hooker.
Yeah, I don't want to underplay this at all. I think it's a great re-signing because he, as you say, he's been around the club forever. He had a little wobble at one point, ended up going
Did
to
have a wobble.
Sarries, but
Did have a
we all
wobble,
learn
yeah.
from our mistakes, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
We all learn from our mistakes. He's back.
Mhm.
He's a solid player. I think he's our second choice hooker at the minute, obviously, to Scott. With Scott leaving, I'd rather sign a world-beating hooker, get a big name in there who's going to come in and be like a leader within the first team, not just the squad. But I think he's a great signing. He's got a few more years left in him. He's still a top quality player. He'll be great, especially coming off the bench around the 60-minute mark.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think I said it to you during the week. He offers something slightly different to Elia in terms of Elia's strength is the fact that he's quite dynamic. He's good in the loose. We all saw him, last season or remember it was a couple of years ago running those tries.
I still think he'd be a great six.
You mentioned this. Yeah, I think he probably would be quite a good six. I'm not sure getting our back row, but I think he probably would be a pretty good six. But he's that sort of player, isn't he? He's a bit more dynamic in the loose. Joe's, much more reliable at set piece, does the basics well. And I think you're right, in those tight games, he's the sort of person you probably want coming off the bench around that 60-minute mark. So, yeah, fingers crossed we get a big, well-beaten hooker, but I'm not sure if...
We talked about this, didn't we?
Yeah,
we don't want a fully fledged home nations hooker because we'll lose them half the time. Six Nations is... I've never really clocked how long it is, but it takes out such a big chunk of your domestic season. Yeah. So I don't think I'd want a starting international hooker. Maybe someone who's sort of had their day in the international limelight and has probably got 5 years or so left in their career. We could come and finish their career in Quins, or someone that is of international ilk but isn't getting a look in at the minute. Someone like, I know Stuart McInally was Scotland captain.
Yeah.
And he's not really starting for them so much anymore. He's a bit of out of the frame with it a little bit. He's got connections obviously with Scott Steele now, James Lang. Someone like him would be great.
When I was thinking actually, I know that I think it might have been retired now. I'm not even playing. I'm not actually sure. I'll double check. I randomly watched one of the old 2013 Lions tests and like someone like a Richard Hibbard, like that sort of player. Maybe
he went to Gloucester, didn't he?
Oh yeah, he was at Gloucester.
Yeah, he's back in Wales now, I think, if he hasn't retired. But
yeah,
that kind of player.
We're not going to lose him for...
Yeah, well, someone like Scott Baldwin.
Exactly. And that's exactly the point, isn't it? Someone like Scott Baldwin. Yeah.
International player. He's had his day with the national side, and now he's fully fledged to his club, and you get him for 100% of the season. So, yeah, someone like that.
I think it is late to the point. We want someone like Scott Baldwin, but not Scott Baldwin because he's leaving.
Yeah. I also think if you look to the Southern Hemisphere, I feel like they're available for more of the season than home nations players if they get international call-ups.
I wonder whether Wilco can tap up one of his mates from South Africa and drag him over. Come play in the front row.
Mate, I would be so happy if we got Malcolm Marks.
But outrageous.
I don't think that's in our budget.
No. Do you remember a few years ago as well, the South African hooker, Bismarck Duplessis? What a player.
Yeah.
Someone like that.
Unit as well.
Yeah, someone like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, Laurie, get it done. We want hooker.
I did notice actually over the weekend, our team is becoming more and more Safa based, isn't it?
I think it's true with most starters at the minute.
Well, yeah, but I always thought, we haven't really jumped on that bandwagon yet. But actually, with Andre Wilco and then also Tyrone Green in there, they're three which are probably going to start most weeks now, if not every week. So we've got a little bit of a South African core to us. Yeah,
I think Tyrone's definitely nailed on that shirt as well now, and I think we saw it briefly in that game against Ulster where he'll probably play a bit at 15 as well. So, and we also Wilco's going to start at 3 and. Andre's probably one of our best players in the top. Certainly in the top 2 or 3 players we've got. What a machine that man is! God, he's terrifying.
Yeah. Speaking of internationals, Women's Six Nations again this weekend. England had a rest week because the finals are next week, and the way they're doing it, if you haven't seen or haven't been following, is it's the same structure as the Autumn Nations Cup. So you're in a pool with 2 other teams. You play your opponents, and then there's always one team that has a rest week. But France absolutely smashed it again, and so did we in the fantasy team.
Yeah, boy.
We had Boujard on the wing, captain, and she scored twice.
Superb.
We climbed 9 places we're in the Girls Rugby Club Fantasy League table, and we've climbed 9 places. So
class. I mean, there you go, Berth. Well, Rachel Burford, if you're listening from last week, yes, we're coming up. We're going to climb the ladder and take you down.
Speaking of Berth, we'll move on to Harlequins women, who got a good win with Berth back in action.
Yeah, Berth is back.
31-7.
Yeah, I enjoyed it actually because obviously we obviously had a real good chat with Izzy Makey a few weeks ago, and I saw Izzy put on her Instagram story, Berth's back. I mean, how cool must that be for her? Starting at 13 with an England legend playing inside you at 12 after a bit of time off. It's so good. And I was watching just some bits and bobs in the week, and obviously we had a chat with Berth, and she said that she's back and she's ready and she's going. And then obviously seeing them on the team sheet, which I think because some of the big names are still away with England in camp and on
mate,
having someone like that to come back in, unbelievable.
Yeah, we were missing a huge amount of internationals, so there was a lot of first starts out there. A very young, sort of inexperienced team, with the exception of your stalwarts like Berth. So no, I think it was a great sort of exploration of the depth the team have got, or the squad has got. And we came out of it really, really well, didn't we? 31-7 winners, bonus point win with a very depleted squad. You think about, I think we've got, it's between 10 and 15 internationals. So we're missing effectively a full team. So to come out and beat a strong Worcester side with a bonus point is huge. And it's a really important time in the season as well. As we know, we looked at the table. I'm at the point now where obviously Saracens are locked in that top of the table. We're not too far behind them, but we are only 2 points ahead of Wasps in third. So we really need to stick to our guns and play tight from now on and make sure we grind out any win that we have.
We want that home semi-final, don't we?
We do. Well, it's huge. Yeah, if we slip up and maybe lose a game or draw a game, then Wasps are jumping ahead of us, and we're away at them in the semis instead of at home. So
I'm looking at the table now, and the gap between 1 and 2 is 6 points, and the gap between sort of 3 and 4 is about 11 points. So, but it's just that gap between 2 and 3, us and Wasps, is only a couple of points, and I think it's just that draw at Sarries separates us the minute. Both teams won 13 games; they've lost one more than we've drawn one, so it's pretty tight up there. But yeah, hopefully we can keep winning, and we'll get the home semi-final back at the Stoop as well, which I think it will be. I won't put my name to that just in case I got that wrong. But yeah, I'm pretty sure we've had some chat saying if they get a home semi-final, it'll be at the Stoop, which would be class.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they've just shown the depth we've got in that team is great. So I'm confident that they'll be able to see out the season. But they went behind early as well to an intercept try against Worcester. So we actually went 7-0 down. And then from that point on, it wasn't actually all us. But the scoreline suggested it was. So it was the perfect response, actually. We went up their end and hammered away at their try line and actually managed to crash over through Captain Alex Eddy. So the perfect response. And then a few minutes later, we were back in their half and we're going through the phases on their 22, having to earn it. Go wide, bust the tackle, offload to Freya Orkin, and she's in the left-hand corner, scoring on her first start. So good to have a bit of sentimental bonus to the try as well.
Yeah. It was going behind early was a bit of a weird one. Also, I think I'm trying to remember now. I think it was that Gloucester Hartbury game where first 15, 16 seconds, Ellie Green kicks on the 22, gets Charles down, run in, and then after the game that almost flipped on its head, and we dominated for the next 98% of the match. No, that was good.
Did you see Lucy Packer's charge down yesterday? Our scrum half charged down their scrum half, which is like never happens, does it?
Yeah.
But it was off like the back of a ruck, and she charged it down, but she managed to charge it down and gather it in one movement. It was like the weirdest charge down I've ever seen. She picked it off the toe and was straight in. So that was a good start to the second half.
No, it's good. They're flying, aren't they? Home semi-finals. That's what we're after now. Hopefully, we keep winning and maybe Wasps slip up somewhere along the way. But another double winning weekend over the Warriors, which was class. Obviously, the men playing later on the Saturday down at the Stoop. I don't think we got that double winning weekend, and we've had the Bristol weekend. Obviously, we lost with that last kick of the game. Yeah, it hurt me. But no, it was good. What were your sort of general thoughts of the game? I know it was. It felt like one of the games I'm trying to say this right. It felt like one of the games I'd already watched this season. It had all the hallmarks of some of the games that we played. I mean, it was interesting that first 10 minutes felt like a sevens game. Back and forth. Both teams have scored twice in the first 10. Yeah. It was a bit like, come on, we need to gain some control here. And then we dominated for the rest of the time the game was going on. And then annoyingly, they score those 2 scrappy tries at the end, which actually flatters the scoreline a little bit. But yeah, what were your sort of general thoughts on the match? Anyone that stood out? Anyone that impressed?
No, I think you're right. I think it's very similar to the Gloucester game. It's very similar scoreline. They got 4 tries that they didn't really deserve. The structure of the game was slightly different in that Gloucester came into it slightly earlier and Worcester sort of pulled back right at the end of the game. But the scoreline was similar. The sort of character of the game in terms of flinging it about, like you said, it was like a sevens game, which I love watching us. This is the best I've ever seen a Quins team play. That's quite a bold claim, but I love watching us because it was so exciting. Fast start is always good with DC dotting over in the corner after 2 minutes.
How well is DC going at the minute?
Yeah. Well,
Player of the month.
Player of the month. He's scoring again. He could have had another. And actually, I'm going to start a little rant already.
Oh, this should be good.
Because after that first score, there was just an aura about the team, which wasn't confidence. It felt a little bit cocky.
Yeah.
It felt like we've just scored a try in 2 minutes. We've won the game.
Yeah.
It felt a little bit like that. And then later on in the game, Marcus Smith's try was unbelievable. By the way. That was my favourite try. The way he linked up with Don Brandt. I've seen that 100 times.
Oh, it's so good watching those two link up in the middle, isn't it?
They link. Don Brandt is the king of 2-on-1s. He's
so
good at 2-on-1s. But the way they just sliced them open in the middle of the park to Domers, back to Marcus, and he was in. I don't know why he was faffing around, not putting the ball down. Just score the try. Just score the try. And then Danny could have scored another, but he decided just to put the brakes on for no reason. He was clear he was in. Put the brakes on and pop off to Andre. Put ball down. Score the try. What are we doing? And it felt like sevens. It really did feel like sevens because it was such a fast game. There was tries galore. You had Marcus waiting to put the ball down as if he was tired. You then had Danny sort of looking just to pop it off and sort of do the cheeky extra pass, like, oh, we can all score if we want. That's my only complaint, is that the character yesterday was, in attack, we're untouchable, and we are.
Yeah.
We'll score. It felt like the mentality was that you can score if you want, Worcester, but we're going to outscore you. And that's good to watch, but you won't win a championship by doing that. It comes to a cup final. You can't win a cup final like that. So I'd just like to see a little bit more stability.
Marcus is in that sort of bracket, though. If he's the next Nev, isn't he? I mean, my God, I love Nev. I love that man so much. Probably my second favourite Quinn of all time behind Brownie. I'll put my name to that. I love that man. But he's got the traits of that, hasn't he? He's got the traits of Nev. And the way we play is similar to when Nev was playing at 10. And it's got that sort of general sort of feel about it. I mean, I was just reading through some of the comments on Twitter yesterday. The word mercurial just pops up a lot. Our attack is so mercurial. It's just, it can be so devastating. And I don't think there are many teams in the league in and around us. Maybe you scratch off Bristol and Exeter from that list. Even we played Sale at home, although they're ahead of us on the table. There aren't many teams that can actually live with us when we're going like that. I don't think anyone can live with us when we go like that.
No, I don't think Bristol or Exeter were able to live with us either.
No, not at times anyway.
No, obviously we didn't get the 4-try bonus point, but I think we got 3 on both occasions. So we looked deadly. So, but that point on Marcus, he's an unbelievable attacker, and individually in defence, he's strong as well. I think he often gets overlooked because of his size, but he even said during the Harlequins live the other week when he had Jamie Roberts at the club.
Yeah, I saw that.
Jamie Roberts just to run at him to practice tackling. I think he's a great defender, but I'd just like to see him control the game a bit better in defence. A fly half is often the man that has to pull the strings and lead the game, and it dictates the attacking play of the team. I think he also has an incredibly important role in defence. I know a lot of defence coaches, like Sean Edwards at France, for example, they pick out their 13 to lead the defence. But your 10 is still bang in the middle of the park. He's still sort of the cog in the wheel that connects the forwards and the backs. And I'd like to see him implement a little bit more control in defence. He's that huge personality in the team. Although still so young, he's obviously got a lot of confidence. He's got a voice that let's listen to. So I just like to see him step up a little bit more there and actually take some ownership in defence.
Yeah, it was interesting listening to that Facebook Live with Dave Rogers. When he was talking about that sort of attack drill with Jamie Roberts, man up drill, whatever they call it. And I was like, you could not pay me, not for love nor money would I stand under the tries and have Jamie Roberts running at me. Jesus Christ, no, thank you. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a point that people make quite a lot, is that actually his individual defense is pretty solid for his size. I mean, I rarely see him shuck a tackle. He's he doesn't look like a weak link in defence, which is maybe you would think from a smaller sized body in that sort of front line of 10. But I think you're right. I think it's just having the. And I mean, I'm no defence coach, and I know that obviously the way Sean Edwards has spoke about it with France. I remember listening to someone's going to have to pin me up on this on Twitter, almost defending in 2 pods on either side of the pitch and sort of locking down opposition's best players. And I don't know whether that comes through Marcus or not, but there are just the times where we look a bit unstructured in defence, and it allows teams to pick holes in us and actually let teams back in the game. Not that at any stage yesterday Worcester were going to get in the game. We were too far gone, but in the business end of the season, if we're playing someone like, I don't know, we're not going to play Northampton again, but we know what I'm trying to say. If we play even London Irish next week, who are in and around that top 6, it could be a slip up for us if we let them in the game with a bit of sort of lackluster defence. So it's going to be something we're going to have to watch for next week, especially with some of their attacking players. I mean, they've got some serious gas in their side.
Yeah, I was impressed with our attack in terms of skill and mentality more than anything. I was disappointed with how soft our defence can be at times, and perhaps the mentality with defence is that it's fine because I know we're going to score again. But their first 2 tries, very early in the game as well, when you expect people to be sort of switched on and fighting for every inch. The first 2 tries were from big men that were sort of crashing through the middle of the pitch. Like, we didn't really make them work too hard for it. And I don't think that's due to inability. Our players are all very able. I think it was a mentality thing. So it's almost like our greatest strength is also our greatest weakness.
Yeah.
Because we know how good we are in attack, that it also means that we're not too concerned if we do concede, because we'll be back up the other end.
Yeah. I think it's spot on. And it feels like we're not really talking that specifically about the Worcester game here, but I don't think that's such a bad thing, because like I said, it feels like a game that I've watched already this season. It felt like a game that I'd seen us play 2 or 3 times against other teams. So it was difficult to sort of really pick out, moments and pick out players. I thought Will Evans had another good game yesterday.
Did you see his try?
Yeah, I know, flying in the corner, wasn't it? That was more 7 stuff from Webb, and he was a happy boy yesterday as well. Norwich City getting promoted back into the Premier League. I know he's a big Norwich fan.
Mate, obviously I'm a Watford fan, so we're in second, but we lost to Luton as well, which is like the worst possible thing that can happen. Your rivals, but we do still sit in second in automatic promotion, so hopefully we'll be joining him.
Yeah, hopefully we won't go for the playoffs. I've got a few mates that are big Brentford fans, and my school's just next door to Brentford.
Breathing down on us.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. I mean, I'm just hoping that we don't ever see Brighton get back into the Championship, because if we drop out of the Premier League this year, I'm not sure we'll ever make it back up. But now we'll see. I think we had a brief chat about this last week. I think this week, obviously, we're playing London Irish in the new stadium, at the Brentford Community Stadium. Yeah. I see that. I see it every day. I drive past it every single day. It's a cool looking ground, really is, and I can't wait to get in there. Hopefully, school will sort us out a few tickets here and there. But yeah, it's class, and maybe I'll put a Quinn shirt on and walk up to the front door of the stadium during the week and get some
get a picture. But one of my colleagues is a massive Man United fan, actually, and every game that they've played away in London over lockdown, he's a big cyclist as well. So he cycled round London. He gets a selfie in his United shirt outside. Like they had Tottenham the other week. He got a selfie outside Tottenham Stadium. You should definitely do that, mate.
Yeah, class. I mean, I can't articulate to you how close it is to my school. And I literally walked past it as I got off the train. So I might. Well, I wonder what colour we'll probably play in that pink, pink and white colour shirt. And I've got the old 2011 Amlin shirt upstairs, so I might take that and wear it outside the ground and snap a little selfie and let the boys know.
It's a great looking ground, isn't it? Really good.
Yeah, it is. I think
it's like a super rugby stadium.
It does a bit. I think David Flatman even said that it's one of his favourite stadiums to commentate at. I just think this is what's so frustrating. I've actually not been in there yet. I will hopefully get in there at some point, whether it's for a Brentford game, whether it's for an Irish game. Hopefully to watch Quins there as well. But no, it should be cool. Always nice to play in a new stadium as well. And this is now the London rivalry, isn't it? London Irish are back in London, just down the road from us, and playing well. Yeah, they're a good side. They've got some real quality. I mean, you just look at the likes of having someone like Blair Cowan and Sean O'Brien on either side of your back row. That's not a bad little setup. Ollie Hassel-Collins looks a great player. Curtis Ronan has been running in tries. Yeah, they've got proper gun backs, haven't they? Actually, a few of their backs used to play sevens, so maybe they'll suit the way we play. It'll be another high-scoring one. But I hope we get an 80-minute performance. Yeah. I was watching Adam Jones's interview after the game, and he was saying that for 60 minutes we played well, and we did. It was just the 10 minutes at the start and the 10 minutes at the end where we didn't really have our wits about us. And we've got some magic in our attack, got some magic in our team. But I'd just like to see those additional 20 minutes applied a little bit better. Yeah, and I think that's the main thing. If we're going to go and play in the playoffs this year, we have to start putting in 80-minute performances at this stage of the season. Next week against Irish, I would love to see us go and beat them by, I mean, maybe we're asking too much for bonus point wins every week, but even if we beat them by 10 or 15 points in a clinical performance, it might be tight, it might be really expansive. I don't know how the game's going to pan out. I think it will probably be a bit more expansive than most other games because of how quick they play, but I would like to see us play for 80 minutes. I don't want to see, even in the 79 minute and 55 seconds, I don't want to see them running in tries because it'll pinch us in the last stage of the year against bigger and better sides, especially if we get into the playoffs. So that's what we're after. Yeah. So 80 minutes of just dominance. I want us to run in tries. I want us to play fast, play quick, throw the ball about. That's just a mercurial attack that is almost unstoppable for teams. But then we've got to pinch hard in defence and do a job.
Yeah, and they of course had Northampton on Friday night and took a bit of a pump in there. They lost 44-26. There was a lot of games around us that didn't necessarily go our way. I don't know if you saw Exeter Wasps. It was a really tight game. I think it was sort of 7 points in it up until the 70th minute, and then just the wheels fell off for Wasps and Exeter started running right, and that one finished 43-13. So I think Exeter looked vulnerable. I really fancy us to do a job on Exeter. I think that scoreline flatters them. For 70 minutes, it was tit for tat. Anyone can take this game. So I reckon we've got a real shot if we end up playing them again.
They're not the Exeter of last season, are they? They're slightly... They're slightly, I mean, beware the wounded animal, but they're not as terrifying as a prospect as last year. I mean, I watched the European Cup game when they played against Leinster. Oh my god, that was a physical contest. But that looked like a proper exercise, and they lost. And I think we actually said it the other day. Slightly frustrating that Bristol and Exeter haven't gone further in Europe to maybe distract them from some Premiership games. But we'll see what happens.
And Bristol also got the win. They beat Newcastle 34-17. So they actually went behind to an intercept. So we were hoping our friends at Folk on Falcons might be celebrating another win, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. Sale, 14-man Sale. They beat Gloucester 25-22 with a late penalty there. So all the teams around us are winning the scrappy ones as well. So we're grinding out a game. So we've got I'd actually like to see us almost... It doesn't work like this, but I'd like to see us sacrifice a couple of tries just in order to tighten up and maybe concede less.
I'm annoyed that Gloucester didn't quite go over the line. That would have been a real help if they'd have beaten.
That would have been perfect, wouldn't it? That would have been perfect.
Well, there we go. Well, look, I'm really looking forward to this week. Actually, hopefully we'll get some good social media content with me roaming wild outside Brentford's new stadium for the big clash at Irish next week. And I'm hoping the weather turns. I'm back in school on Monday, so hopefully the weather stays as it is now. It's an absolutely glorious day. I think I'm going to go for a walk in Bushy Park this afternoon and enjoy my last day of freedom before I'm back to the coalface.
I'm definitely going to get out as well. Try and nurse the hangover with a bit of fresh air.
Yeah, absolutely. I need some more water. I'm hanging. Top man. Anyway. All right, well, pleasure as always to chat, mate. Looking forward to next week, everyone. And stay safe, stay well, and enjoy the sunshine.